Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the pod. It's your boy Omar. Here with Andy. It's been a long time since we ain't been able to talk One Piece. Granted, not on Sky Island anymore. Further down the road,
Yeah,
but I'm not gonna say how far I am. Leave that up for future videos. But let's talk about Sky Island.
yeah, yeah,
Into the
yeah.
introduction that I did not know was Blackbeard at the time. Granted, spoilers warning again as we get into deeper into this video. But yes, Sky Island. Thus far, my least favorite arc of One Piece.
I mean, that's your opinion, but I think it was. I
I,
think the beginning of it was pretty lit.
I'm not gonna say it was bad. Pacing issues really ticked me off while watching it, and the positions where they put backstories and flashbacks to the point where I was like, it was way too late to even introduce them. But you know what? Let's just go in order.
Okay, all right. So we want to start with Jaya,
Yep.
the introduction with the Gorilla Boys or the
Yes.
Monkey Man.
Yep. So we leave Alabasta. That saga is over, and now we're on to our next adventure. And Luffy gets incited to be like this magical place in the sky, and that's where he wants to go no matter what. And we discover that it's either it could be real or it's fake, and no one really knows at the time.
Yep. And then we get introduced to Bellamy, which makes fun of Luffy and Zoro and Nami for talking about Sky Island, talking about, oh, you still believe in those childish dreams. And then he just starts beating the crap out of them. But they don't fight back because they're just like they're not worth the time.
Yes, that was so hard. Listen, that was so hard. Luffy grew because that was his like coming of age in terms of Shanks, where it was like, if it's not worth my time, I'm not really gonna fight back. Do whatever you want. Bellamy saying, "Oh, the age of the this version of the pirates is over. We're going on into a new era." And Nami's like, "Why aren't you fighting back? What's wrong with you two?" And Luffy and Zoro are like, "It's not even worth it." And we
Yeah.
leave, and this man is just sitting crisscross applesauce outside of the bar, talking about, do you really think dreams are over? Do you really think the pirate era is over? No, dreams will never die. Dreams will continue to be dreams. And I'm sitting there like, yo, this guy's cooking. He's cooking, not knowing who he really is.
Yeah, he's the big guy, the one that Ace was looking for during Alabasta, Sir Blackbeard himself,
Teach.
Marshall D. Teach.
Yep.
Now the
Yes.
question is, now I'm gonna hit you with a little theory, right? Down the line, but down the line things happen, and there's a theory that like Blackbeard was there because of like specific reasons, but during the time after he gives his speech, Luffy and Zoro kind of like they instead of mentioning him as like a singular being, they go, oh, like just ignore them. So people have been thinking, I was like, why would they say them? Was it that they realized that his crew was around the town? But
Mm.
I'll remind you about this theory when we do our we more down the line. To since right now, I just wanted to tell you that Oda drops pieces whenever, even if you don't know it.
Yes. And not being able to connect the dots that it was him that destroyed Chopper's home village.
Yeah.
At the it's just Oda's different. But move moving along, they go to this island that they get tipped off like, oh, this is if you want to know how to get to Sky Island, you go to Nolan's ancestor, little house that's on this separate part of the village.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's when they find out that like Nolan was a big liar. That supposedly there was never such thing as a what is it, a island, a town of gold.
Yes.
And then they're like, well, we want to go explore, which they take a literal type. I think it was like a typhoon. I forget what they call it, but like a massive geyser, which they have to like take to express themselves to Skypiea.
Yes. But right before that,
Mm-hmm.
Nolan's ancestor gets robbed.
Yep.
And Luffy, to the point where he was, this guy's not worth any of my time, says, nah, nah, nah. You can't mess with my boy. He in this village, Bellamy was feared.
Yep.
Luffy does this fight in about 10 seconds. It was being told that it was going to be such a build up. What a great, amazing fight, just for it to be over in about 2.2 seconds, and then they just end up moving on.
Yeah. Bellamy had a spotlight, bro. He had a spotlight for like 5 seconds, and then hit him with that one punch, bro. The one punch man before One Punch Man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, not
Hey,
wrong, not wrong.
yeah. And then if you want to fast forward a bit, so as I was saying, they get to Skypiea. There's not really anything for me, at least personally. I don't think there's anything crazy in the beginning. It's just kind of like introducing they reach the sky, and then see weird animals, blah blah blah. Then they realize it's like a force, and then we get to the part where it actually, for me, at least it gets interesting they when half of the Straw Hats get captured and get taken to the sacrificial altar. I don't know if you want to talk about anything before that.
Yeah. So we do get introduced into this mysterious guy who's in a suit of armor and says, you know what? I think you guys are pretty good people, so you have this one-time use whistle. And again, I love any moment where Luffy's an idiot. And he's like, I wonder if this works, and attempts to blow it before Nami says, you know what? Smacks the living hell out of him and takes the whistle, like, no, I can't trust you with this. And they end up meeting these nice people on Skype before they realize how corrupt this island is, because there's a fear of God. And then we realize that Zoro, for one, doesn't believe in God. That line is still hard to even to report. I am in One Piece, where he says, "I never prayed to God. I don't believe in Him." It's just those little subtle lines where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's move. So then, yes, the Straw Hats do end up getting split. We get into the forest, and then we start the four judgments. I believe that's what they were called.
Yeah, the Four Judgments, which basically it's the point where the people who were captured, I believe, was everybody but Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp, and they're the ones that have to like go through the judgments to try to reach the altar. Right? I think, and then everybody, Zoro, Chopper, Robin, and Nami were all the ones that were captured. I remember correctly. Right? I'm pretty sure. I think that's how it went.
Okay.
And then they go through the judgments, which I think the first villain of the judgments, you was probably your least liked villain
Show
out of
that
all
laugh.
the
It
One
was
Piece
his
villains.
laugh. For me, it was his laugh. That little laugh really got. But they were crazy powerful. Let's get that thing straight. They were all the judgments were crazy powerful.
They had abilities that could actually harm Luffy, who's like immune to blunt attacks, which is what was crazy for people.
Yes, and now you're starting to see outside of Devil Fruits like mysterious powers that this crew really doesn't know how to handle. But you know what? We'll get to how vulnerable Luffy is. We're gonna get to this asshole they decided to pull.
Yeah. I mean, so so then during the trials, we find out that there's like different, different, let's say like civilization compared to the very modern like angels, sky people
Yeah.
that were like in modern times. There was also a tribe of like very, what are they're called the Shenandoans. Or
Yes.
do you remember what they're called?
I
Yeah,
do.
so there was
Yeah.
that, and they were a lot more like beastly, and they were more of like the native tribes that did not like God. They were setting up to challenge God, to try to like defeat him and become like the rightful rulers of the land. Which
And they don't tell you this for 90% of the arc, which is where my problems start to happen with Skypiea. They don't tell you what the issue is, but you know the natives And the people that live on the mainland don't like each other either. And they
Yeah.
keep mentioning this Aneru person and why they're so why like, oh, you don't mess with Aneru or you're gonna be in deep trouble.
Yep. Yeah. I give it to you. But like the fights are pretty cool. Luffy put. I mean, I like the characters. I like the man. I liked Viper or Wiper. He was pretty lit. Like, come on, let's go here. Some of the characters were clean.
The nobody dies in One Piece
Hey,
was
it's a curse.
so high in this arc. Wiper died like 7 damn times in this arc.
Yeah, he might
You
have.
got this mother got struck by lightning like 7 times and collapsed.
I mean, let's not talk about the part where he completely shattered his arm like 50 times every time he used the fucking impact
Yeah,
dials.
said if I use this again, I'm going to die because my everything will shatter. Use it 20 more times, but you know what? Whatever.
Oh, actually, we did miss that. So they did introduce these things called dials, which surprisingly a lot of people use, which is just like the shells, which is where we can assume the origins of like the Denden Mushis are from. You know,
Yes.
so eventually it gets to the point where Luffy meets up with everybody after defeating the first ball judgment, and they have like a big party with the wolves. And then they kind of go into one of the few things I barely ever see in anime do, where they go into like a huge battle royale. Because it's where, as you know, they
Yes.
reveal
Hold on.
the
Hold on.
god. Okay,
Before we get into that, I will be the foreshadowing. I'm just gonna say this, and then we can move on to the battle royale. The foreshadowing of Usopp seeing this mysterious person
you're right.
in
You're right.
in his sleepless state fix Mary. I'm just gonna say that it's giving me goosebumps right now, understanding what that foreshadowing was. But yes, that he's seen this mysterious person and magically the Mary was fixed
Yeah,
was it
yeah, yeah.
is insane. But yes, so now it's revealed we're gonna Eneru, who's Eminem, shout out Oda.
Oh yeah, real quick. I got a cool picture for this. Oh,
Um,
did I? I'll
it
figure it out.
it's
I'll show.
so yeah, so it's we get to a point where he says it. We're gonna play now. We're gonna play my game. We're gonna play my game, and let's see who survives. And it's who I'm going to take into like the pure lands of where endless grass is gonna happen, where I'm gonna rule.
Okay, okay.
So now we have the mainland now is no longer involved. It's gonna be the natives, uh, the Aneru's men, and now the Straw Hats. And this
Yeah,
all out, which I really enjoy a battle royale, especially when anime does do it. I think it's a lot of fun.
yeah. If it's done right, yeah, I agree. Where, I, it was fun because you see the matchups and you're like, okay, this is kind of cool. But just knowing that, another foreshadowing thing. It, I say foreshadowing, but so like I won't say how far. I don't want to say how far Omar is in One Piece, but let's just say like this is the first time that we see somebody have one of the three powers. If you think about it, and Nell had one of the three powers, but he had it up to the max.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah,
Yes.
because he. So it was weird because he could basically he knew 100 people were left, and he's like, all right, I can see that down the line it'll be like it's gonna be 3 people left, and they're gonna be my chosen one. Or he could tell when people would be done, be defeated, be like, okay, we're down to this amount of people, and it's just like, how does he even know? Like, how does he know this? Is he actually omnipotent? But
Yes. And you know,
we can talk about more about it down the line,
as we get
on
closer,
the show.
yeah. So now after the festival and the battle royale begins, the straw hats once again get split up into the individual matchups that we start to see. The idea is okay, so we're gonna split into 2 teams. One team's gonna go look for the city of gold, and the other team's gonna go attack Anedu. I believe, right? That was the plan.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we have to defeat him. And I think, and then Luffy and Viper fight for like a hot minute, and then Luffy spends the rest of the arc inside of a snake stomach. How did you feel about that?
Yes, Mister. Man, how deep is this cave? Kind of crazy. Wow, the cave is moving. I'm falling. I love Luffy so much.
Dude,
It.
goaded.
But yes, so he and then Chopper cooked, and his fight.
I was gonna say that Chopper's first 1v1, and he cooked
Chopper
fucking
cooked. Start again. All the Straw Hats are idiots in their own way.
yeah. No, they're
Chopper
facts.
crying. Oh, I'm getting insecure. Where is everyone? Oh, where are all my friends? And he's like, oh. And then completely walks by his matchup and is like, oh, it looks like I'm gonna die. And then proceeds to win the fight. That fight was amazing.
Yeah. And that was great when we saw Zoro's first flying slash.
Yes.
His I think what was it, the 160-pound Phoenix.
Yes, that absolutely clean. Nami at this point gets kidnapped.
Not yet. So then eventually, okay. Also, sorry, completely skipped the whole big point. For people who don't know, maybe you already do know if you're watching a One Piece video, but Enel had one of the strongest fruits, the Rumble Rumble fruit, which literally just meant he was a lightning person.
Yes.
So he was a Logia type. He could not be hurt with physical attack.
Yes. So I did want to get into that a little bit later when we discussed that final fight and the ass pull they decide to pull right. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? They just did it with Crocodile, where Luffy was smart enough to like just have water with him. I don't think they're gonna take that route.
Okay, but I just want to say that before we explain like
Okay.
everybody getting bodied, because it's like,
and that's why. Yeah, so the Rumble Foods revealed that's why he's a lightning person, and that's why everyone fears him. Because he also has another power, so he knows when anyone's like not like praising him or is talking down about him, he strikes it with lightning and attempts to kill them, and that's why he is feared. And he does.
Then so yes. After, I know you can go ahead. I was gonna talk about after.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
So as we were before we get into like the Luffy coming in, so eventually it gets down to like the last 4 people. It's so as we learn, the person in the knight armor, he was actually the previous god.
Yes.
Right. So we had him standing left. Then we had Robin, who was up left. Then we had Zoro, and then lastly we had Viper. So it was those 4 people, and then Nami was hiding behind the rock, and then
also ended up in a snake.
Yeah. So then and then Enel was like, okay, you 4 come with me. You're my chosen people. We're gonna rule the world. And they were all like, nope, we're not gonna do that. We're actually all gonna we're gonna try to beat you. And Enel bodies every single one.
Like that. It was the power scaling started to rise, essentially.
Yeah.
And now the question is, no one could touch him at this point. Yep. And that's when I start to think about it. And it's quickly revealed because Luffy is rubber person and Edu cannot touch him.
Hey, man.
Oh, man. You know what? Before you want to give these people power-ups, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, all I know is he cooked. He built that from the get-go of rubber doesn't conduct electricity. Rubber person is literally the perfect counter to this fucking fruit.
But I will say, I do want to give Oda credit. I'm just glad that it wasn't over as quickly as I thought it was going to be, because then it was like, you know what? That's fine. I can't touch electricity, but I can burn the hell out of you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it proves just like that there is ass pulls. I'm not gonna say there's not, but it's not in the sense of regular ass pulls of like Luffy got knocked out and he unlocked a freaking super rubber form or anything like that. It was 100% just like, I'm literally made of rubber, and every lightning move just doesn't hit.
Before we get into my biggest gripe with this arc, and one of my biggest problems with One Piece thus far is, I do want to mention the moment I do love is once Nami is captured, and it falls on Sanji and Usopp to go save Nami. And my favorite moment in the whole arc is Usopp gets to Nami first, sees Aneru right next to her, opens the door. He goes, "Nope, I'm sorry." Closes the door and just dips.
Dude, I I really hate you because I 100% thought you were gonna say the part where Sanji saves him. And is like gets hit with the strongest fucking landing. He's just like, "Thanks, I needed a light," and then
That
passes out.
yes,
I
that
thought that's what you were gonna say, and I'm so mad that you said the fucking Usopp thing out of everything.
listen. The comedy of One Piece to me is overly underrated, and I really appreciate it. But yes, that was completely hard of Sanji, and then just
Yeah,
before he falls unconscious, and
bro.
it's amazing. But
But
yeah, yeah,
so okay, so before you get in, I know I'm gonna railway you into your grave. So since Enel couldn't beat Luffy, he's like, I'm gonna outsmart you. I'm gonna transform gold and wrap your arm around it, and I'm gonna throw you off of this giant beanstalk, which is where they were like fighting. And this is where the gripe starts, I assume, for Omar when
yes.
they're climbing up the beanstalk.
Also, before that, Aneru sets his plan into action of saying, before I leave into this perfect world, I'm gonna put all this land back into the ocean, and I'm just gonna destroy Skypiea.
Yeah,
He starts the storm, starts destroying the mainland, and now everyone's realizing how bad of a person Aneru is, and they start to flee. And at this point, yes, all the natives are completely taken out. The mainland's trying to retreat, and then we get in. Listen, you're about to start the damn climax and final fight. You already started it because you're right. Aneru repped Luffy in the gold and threw him off the ship. So what the hell are we doing with the backstory in the middle of the final battle? And it's not like it's a one episode backstory. This is a damn long backstory.
yeah.
In the
Yo, yeah.
middle, Wiper already died like 9 times, and now you're gonna tell me about Nolan's lie and reveal that it wasn't a lie. Now, it's the placement of the backstory that really threw me out the wrong way. And I was like, I'm not gonna say I don't care, but at this point, I'm like, I don't. We're already at
Yeah,
the end. Why are you putting this here?
yeah. It's like if you're ordering food and the food is literally right. He's about to serve you the food, and he's like, "Now let me tell you about our specials real quick."
Exactly. And I'm like, what are we doing? Which the backstory was cool, and it was
Yeah.
sad. No. I do want to talk about the backstory.
Okay.
It was completely sad of like understanding of how the relationship built. Like Nolan saved that island, and he said, "My friend, I'm going to return, but I have to report back to my king." And as Skypiea starts to form and gets thrown into the sky, Nolan gets executed for lying. And the first king is crying because he's saying, "I wonder if Nolan is still looking.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you can hear this gong, please come see me one more time."
And obviously he doesn't because he gets executed. And then
Yes,
I think the chief that was so the thing was is that the land they were like on the sea level, and then that same geyser that Luffy took to get to Skyland is what blasted their island to get on Skyland, which is why there were two different tribes. So that was the reason why Nolan was like, wasn't there. But yeah, it was super sad because they both died being like, I wonder what happened to him. They were like, their
not
final thoughts.
not
Like,
caring about themselves. It was really it was such a good backstory. I just didn't like the placement of it.
yeah. It would have been better probably. Like the thing is, where would you place it? We're gonna be real here for a second. Where would you have put it?
You could have started. I don't think you should have told the backstory all in one huge like 10 episode arc like they mini arc like they did. When you first revealed Nolan's a liar, you could have told the story of how he first got there. Maybe when you met Wiper
Okay, all right, okay.
and
I was
Wiper
gonna say like
and
after the festival, like
yeah
before the battle
yeah
royale. Yeah.
and Wiper talks to I guess you would call him the current chief,
Yeah, the elder. Yeah,
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 the
yeah.
elder. The elder. You could have finished saying the backstory right there before he went into battle,
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay.
and not waited so long.
I agree. I agree. Okay. All right. So then, you wanna talk about how you felt about the climax and like the finishing blow?
Yes. So the final fight begins. Luffy turns around him and
Fight. Let's be real here. Fight. Like at this point, sorry. Go.
no, you're good. You're
Proceed.
good. You're good. Luffy says, "You rat bastard," as everything's falling apart, and this is like the sacrifice like the Straw Hats have for each other is completely amazing. Because Luffy says, "I know they're good with it, even if they risk their lives as everything's falling apart and crashing onto them. I don't give a damn. I'm going to kick your ass, and you're gonna take this beating, and I'm gonna ring this gong, even if it's the last thing I do." Destroys Aneru. Aneru runs for his life, half damn near half beaten, and he screams at the top of his lungs, "Can you hear this bell?" And it was just like such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. That whole final sequence where it's like, and now does a like literally what a probably the same size of a lightning spirit bomb, and Luffy goes into the ball of just pure lightning and destruction, starts swinging his gold arm, this freaking disperses all of it, and it hits Enel with that one shot gold bullet or gold rifle to ring the bell, and then you have the freaking great grandson hear the bell, and then when he looks up into the sky, he sees the silhouette of Luffy.
It, it,
That couldn't have
the
been done
story,
any better, bro.
yeah, the final push of Skypiea was really really good, and Oda does such a great job of storytelling in that way, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, it's great for me. I loved all of it, and then uh, then toward the end of Skypiea, it kind of goes back to being like they always got a party, and then but this time it was kind of different because remember they were trying to like run away and steal the
Yes,
gold.
yes. So now, little did the Straw Hats know, they don't care because they're so different in society. They don't care about gold, so they were trying to give it to them, and they were gonna give this gold to Robin, and they told Robin, they're like, "Hey, also, yeah, we completely skipped over it. The monolith,
Okay, yeah, we did that. That's important. We almost skipped it. So they find a poneglyph.
poneglyph.
The same poneglyph that was not the same, but a poneglyph that was also seen in Alabasta, which only Robin could understand. So when Robin read it, it was a message left by Gold Roger, correct?
Yes,
Yeah. When I don't remember. Do you remember? I think it said like "I was here" or
yeah.
something like
Like
that.
I was here, and I'll spread the message. And Robin was like, what is this talking about? But now that we know Gold Roger was here, like there has to be some other connections that are missing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Because
Robin
why would?
now sees a path forward, and we're left to believe that now that Robin has, because that's the beauty of the Straw Hats, everyone has their own individual goal. Robin now sees her individual path forward, and now she believes that there's still a chance that she could find the blank history.
Yep. And yeah. So like I said, Skypiea it might not have been perfect, but I think for what it was a fascinating story. Like I understand like pacing is really tough. Like that's a thing with One Piece pacing. It could be improved, but I think the storytelling and the way that it pulls your emotions one way to another, you could be
Yes,
shedding a tear in a backstory to laughing your ass off because Luffy does the stupidest crap, and I think that's the beauty of One Piece in just one arc for me. It shows you the things you're not gonna like about it and the things that make One Piece one of the longest running greatest of all time anime.
and I'll say this though, this is the only individual arc, except with one little piece and a different arc, that pacing was really an issue for me. This was the only one thus far. I haven't had a problem with it. And I've already been through some pretty long arcs, but none of it's ever bothered me except for Sky Island.
Now, now I have something for you as I always like to surprise you. Remember the ending of Skypiea? And now, what was he was doing something, right?
Yes, he
Yeah.
left on a ship.
And he left on a ship and he says, "I'll be back."
Yes, he did say that.
Do you know what he was doing at all?
No, he was just retreating.
All right. So everybody, my friend Omar here, big
Yes.
NBA Omar,
Yes.
has never seen. He's never read the manga. He's been strictly anime. So I like adding tidbits and showing him things that fill in blanks for him of things that happen after or after big arc. So as you probably know, Oda likes to do little side stories, correct? Right?
Yes.
Hopefully, you know.
Hmm.
So he made a side story for the one and only uh, NL, and I'm gonna go through with you of what NL has been up to after getting beaten.
Okay.
There's no spoil, well, no spoilers or anything. Completely like a side story. Right? So
Okay.
it starts off with remember because Enel said he wanted to go to the moon, so Enel goes
That's
to the moon.
that's crazy. That I'm sorry.
Right? So this is like Enel's ship going to the moon, right? And then he gets to the moon. This is literally Enel on the moon. Don't ask me how he's breathing. Don't ask me none of that jazz.
Hey,
Because I know the answer, bro.
through the
The
power of friendship. What do you mean?
to the power of lightning in your lungs. So he gets there, and then he's just exploring the moon. You can see, and then he finds a person on the moon. Oh, what it looks like it looks like a hat or like a shell. And else, as usual, he just shocks it, and it turns out to be a person that just completely just tanked Enel's lightning. And then he's just like, oh, what is this thing? And it turns out there's another being on the planet, right? And it turns out there's weird space beings that shock people on the moon, right? It's like, what is this? What This makes no sense. And I was completely like caught off guard. He's like, this is none of my business. And now they're having like a duel. Some this like, geez, I don't know what it is. It's just some random thing,
Okay. All
right?
right.
So you're like, okay, what's happening? And they'll beat him, right? They'll go a little bit faster, and they'll here's a big explosion, and you're like, oh, like literally, what is happening to Enel right now? And Enel gets mad because I think they probably damaged his ship,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So he's like mad, and then he finds out that there's literally just moon people. There's a whole society of moon people on the moon,
This is
and
canon, right?
this is 100% canon. This is what's happened. This is what happened to Enel. Okay, so there's another, so trying to just stick with the ones that show. So then, just more stuff. It looks like they're building a ship to go somewhere. Maybe to Earth. Don't know, right? So it turns out that the little robot thing, the little humans are actually robots. So someone on the moon they're just building these little robot soldiers, right? Okay, that's another cover art. Going by this one by one. So it's just the backstory of the little soldier bots. You see, they have little soldiers, and you're just kind of like, okay.
This is crazy.
And then the soldier bot sees the moon get blown up, right? He's like, oh, what the hell, right? So this is backstory to a side story to see what Enel's doing. And then the creator dies, so they're like mourning him, and you're like, okay, like what is this gonna lead up to? They go to the. That's how they get to the moon. That's how the little robots get to the moon. They freaking fly up there because the explosion on the moon is what killed their creator. You're like, okay, what does this have to do with anything, right? And like, what? Like this makes no sense. And then they try fighting the moon people, little robot guys, right? Oh, let's go. But they get brutally defeated, and they're like crying. And then, gotta keep going. This dude, I'm telling you, I know you don't read the manga, but these chapters be going, these side stories be going crazy. So then Anel comes in and just beats everybody up. The little robot dude, he's just like, "What's happening?" Beats everybody, you know. So he conquers the moon,
So,
right? So you're like, okay. And then the little robot guy's like, "Oh, dude, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh." So, as Anel would, he just shocks all the robot dudes, right? Shocks them.
mhm.
But and then he discovers like a power plant, and it dude, this rabbit hole that you're gonna go down is it's insane. Like I'm letting you know now because it's like so he goes into this cave because you know as you can see like the ship was blown up, and then we're trying to discover more stuff, and there's a hidden civilization
What the
in the moon, on the moon, that he's
Oda?
discovering. Dude. So he's like, oh, there needs to be some light in here, right? And so he puts lightning into it. It was a factory of more space people, of little robot space people, which means that the grandpa guy came from the moon because he built the same type of things. So you see, as you can see, like they're so the creator had to come to the moon because he has the same designs as these little army guys that were already there.
Nah.
All right, and then right, and here's where it gets interesting. I hope I can make this. Oh, if I could make this bigger, so let's see. So it just shows, right? It just shows what one, two, three gods. Three, no, not gods. Look at their backs. They have wings. And
Yo, nah.
if you look closely, the guy on the right has an animal on his head, like the chiefs in Skypiea the Shenandoah. And then the one on the left have the droopy ears, right?
Of the angels.
Of the angels. And he just doesn't understand what's happening, right? He's like, what is this, right?
Because we were led to believe that was just pure adaptation from having to live in the.
Right? Yeah, it's just like, what? Now, as you can see, it even has like the sky, the flat crabs on the bottom right. It has three different types of angel people,
This is
right?
wild.
But like if you see, right, for the people who are caught up in One Piece, this one's for you guys. You know, these two have the same wings. We haven't met anybody with wings that are long. So after this, so and now has an army. And just I need to see how much longer it is. Yeah, he just has a whole underground city and an army on the moon. That is what he did after getting beat. Okay, let me just make sure because I feel like this might be the last one. But let's just make sure. That was all right. And that's the end of Enel's story of what he was doing.
So his comeback is gonna be crazy.
His comeback is gonna be insane.
Oda and his details are.
Yeah, and I'll let you know also. Like I don't know if you're seeing the titles of this. Like he wrote this like side story while finishing Enies Lobby and going into Third Bark. Like friend, I need you to understand that Oda does this so much, where he'll put so much info in his cover story. So much he fills in plot holes. He says you will never experience a question or be like, how did this happen or what happened to this person? Because he'll explain it to you at some point. Whether it be on the cover page, whether it be a one panel freaking invisible guy thing. Like that is just the greatness, and that's why also Skypiea is not done. Is what I'd say. Skypiea might have just been a long ass prequel to what can be a great future art. But well, that's just my theory, and we're gonna have to see how everything ends. But you're welcome, everybody. This is a genuine Omar reaction.
Nah, that's bunk, bro. Oda, listen. I'm personally just used to having plot holes in anime. This is different.
Yeah,
Holy
no, nah.
shit. Nah. So I guess I can't sit here and give Skype a rating yet because it's not done.
Hey man, I'm just saying, he's in the moon now. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I mean, from the prequel, I know you didn't like it. This is this is the sequel stuff. So if
Fair.
you could give it a rating,
Uh,
what would your rating be?
7 out of 10.
Yeah, okay, that's valid. That's
What
better than
what
others.
Sky Island wasn't horrible, but it did have its moments. Did have the emotion. Did have the side characters that were intriguing. I'm not gonna completely bash it. Just the pacing and decisions of where they put certain things bothered me a little. But you know, still,
All right,
so
valid.
far, I guess I would say One Piece is 2.5 for 3 in terms of art. East
Oh,
Blue was amazing. Alabasta was incredible,
yeah.
and Skypiea was pretty good.
All right. Well, uh, everybody, Omar especially, hope we're all ready to discuss the next arc, where things go
Perfection.
from One Piece is great to One Piece is
It's
the
peak.
goated.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll talk about peak next time. But for
Yep.
now, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of Skypiea down below. See you guys next time. Peace.